Begin the on Daf, Mesech Gitin Daf Samach Beis. Begin 3 lines down at the top of the Amid, where the Gemara continues the discussion regarding a concern of Ha'ama Aretz touching Taharas and making it Tameh, where the Gemara introduces a brisa and elaborates on these halachas that we began on the previous Daf. It just goes by the concept of Necheskel, turn to Daf Chaim, which I'm doing today's Daf. So we're discussing today's Daf are Gavel Ubadid Chaver. If you have a Talmid Chacham that he's involved in the production of wine and of olives, what is he allowed to do? What is he not allowed to do because of the Amaratzim that hire him out, and he might be involved in the tumah of what they're producing. Again, we continue with the theme of Nedar Shalom, which actually ends on this Amid of this parak of the ways of peace, and of that Machzikin the Akim B'Shvius, as we said in our Mishnah, that you're allowed to support the non-Jews in the laws of Shemitah. Also, we mentioned Shalom B'Shleimam, that you're allowed to greet them in God's name. And the halach of shlichus regarding the halach of agency, who could do something for someone else. Which that's really what takes us into the next parak, which we begin the parak of Ha'emer, which is that of shlichus, which is, the Gemara has an interesting question in the Mishnah regarding Ishli Kabbalah v'Ishli Locha. To say that we know a man could be Ashes, he could be the Shliach Ha'elacha from the husband, and a woman could be a Shliach L'Kabbalah. The question is, could a man be a Shliach L'Kabbalah, which is really the feminine aspect of receiving, and could it be Isha be a Shliach L'Elacha, which is really the masculine about divorcing, about sending it. And also the discussion regarding Hoilach Kischi or Heilich Kischi, which sounds pretty of a minor difference, but it's in halacha, it's a big difference which word you say. Do we say that it's like you automatically merit when the person says Hoilach, here go take this, or Heilich, here is this thing, and then the shliach would have already been zeicha for the recipient. So we get a current Daf Samach Beis, 3 lines down at the top of the Amid. From the previous Daf, we were discussing interaction between a chaver, one who's scrupulous regarding Tomeh, and Ama Aretz. And the Gemara brings a brisa. Hey, Rabbi Yisi ben Amshulam, Mishum Rabbi Yechanan Achiv, in the name of his brother Rabbi Yechanan. Sha'am Mishum Rabbi Elazar ben Chasma, in the name of Elazar ben Chasma, that what? Ein oisen chalas Ama Aretz b'tahara. You're not allowed to make the challah of an Ama Aretz in the state of purity. What does that mean? So Rashi explains. If an Ama Aretz tells to a gavel is someone who needs the dough, and he's a Talmid Chacham. He tells him, look, do me a favor. Separate challah from my dough, and do it in a state of tahara, which obviously challah has to be for the kohen to eat it. He's not allowed to listen to him. Why not? There's Afrem Ye's coming, wants to be Makayim the mitzvah challah. No. Because this dough already became tameh in the hands of the Ama Aretz. What's going to happen is, the kohen is going to rely, this you have this with hechsherim all the time, that people rely on the hechsher. And the kohen is going to rely on the gavel, on the kneader, who's a chaver, and he's going to think that the challah is tahor, because it has this hechsher symbol on it, must be okay. And the Vada Kasha says, no, we just separated the challah. We're not validating all the different. I don't know what else happened over here. We're just saying we took off. Challah is genimin, right? But I don't know anything else. So you're not allowed to do the challah is genimin, because you do that, someone's buying this product. Oh, I see. Harav Hagun Murad Astra Shlita said that challah is genimin and it must be okay. No, but it's tumah, and the kohen can't eat it even if it is challah. That's tumah. So it says Rabbi Elazar, you're not allowed to make the challah of an Ama Aretz in a state of purity, because it's already tameh. Avol Eisen Isis Chulav. But what you could do is, you could make the dough of his chulin, meaning the beginning of the dough, when it's still flour, you could do that b'tahara in a state of purity, because it never became tameh, it wasn't even in liquid yet. And then you could take the amount of that's necessary of challah. What do you do with it now? And you put it bekfisha oivan chusa. These are vessels of worn out leather flasks. And you don't usually put dough inside those types of flasks. And therefore we're not concerned that he's going to touch it. And it's also not makabel tumah. So, when the Am Aretz comes to take back his original dough, and now the challah that he separated, he takes both of them, the dough and the challah, and the gavel, the frum Talmid Chacham, the kneader, does not have to be concerned that maybe the Amaretz is going to touch the challah and make it tamid, which the Gemara later is going to explain why that is. But he doesn't have to be concerned. Continues the brayso. Ve'ein oisin trumas zeisa b'tahara. And you cannot go ahead and make the truma of his olives in a state of purity, meaning, as Rashi explains, after they had turned over the olives to put into the vat, the chaverim, the Talmidei Chachamim that are badodim, that do this job, they're not allowed to separate truma from it to do it in a state of tahara. Because the same idea, it's already been susceptible to tumah in the ma'atan. The ma'atan was the place where it was just squeezed together, that it was heated up, ready to be put into the vat, it already became tummy then. And again, you can have the same problem with the Kavara Kashas. The Kohen is going to rely on this and say, oh yeah, Harav Goyen, he was involved in separating the Truma, he's going to think it's tar. No. So you can't do this, because it definitely became tummy already. Avol, Eisen Zaysim, Chulov B'tahar. What you could do is, you could do it when it was still Chulim. Then you could get involved during the state of purity, meaning before it's put into the Ma'aton even. And then you could take what's the amount of the truma, and you'll put it into the vessels of the Talmid Chacham. When the ignorant person comes to take it, he could take both of these, meaning his original olives, and what was separated for truma, and you don't have to be concerned. That is the brayso. Says the Gemara, why would the Rabbanan lenient regarding truma, such a leniency? But shouldn't you be concerned that maybe he's going to touch the truma after you give it back to him? So Rabbi Yochanan says, because of the livelihood of this Talmid Chacham that's a kneader, and because of this the Talmid Chacham that he does this process of the olives, he has to have panusa. So because of that, okay, we're going to look aside. We're not going to be so concerned that the Amaretz is going to touch the trima or the challah after it's given back to him. And the Gemara said that we have to say both cases because they're both the same idea. They were both the same idea that when it's already being concerned that there's tummy, you're not allowed to do it. When it's not, when it's earlier in the stage, you're allowed to. Why do you need to talk about both by dough and by the olives? Says Gemara Tzricha, because the Yeshmei Gabel had we said regarding the guy who does the kneading of the dough, he doesn't get paid so much. So therefore, he's a ani, he's a poor person. He needs food. Avabada, but the guy who's involved in the production of the olives, the nafesh, he makes a lot of money. Imlay would say that no, we're not going to let him do a job that we might run into some concerns later on when the Amaretz gets it back. And the Yeshmin Abada had we said the case of the guy who does the olives, because the guy doesn't have so many opportunities to get hired. It's an annual job, so therefore he really needs it for his panasa. But the guy who's kneading the dough, that happens all the time. Every month in Gedanjah, people are making doughs. So even though he's a poor person, Emily would say, don't let him do these jobs, because you'll have another opportunity for a job somewhere else. So we have to say that both of them know nidi kedei chayav, and therefore we're allowed to do it. If you got it earlier enough that it didn't become tummy yet, we're not concerned that when you give it back to him, that then he's going to tamid the truma or the chal. So the Gemara explains now.
The zaysim has its season, so it's only once a year.
Right, exactly. Versus dough. Every Shabbos, macht challah, so you'll find other jobs. Now, the Gemara goes back to explain this halacha. We said that if you were able to get in early enough before it was able to become tameh, so neitel emenu you take from when you're making the dough, this chaver, this Talmid Chacham, he takes the amount of kedei challah, the amount of challah, manicha b'kfi sho'ei b'anchus, and he puts it in this type of a vessel that's these worn-out leather flasks. So when the Amaretz comes to take it, he takes both of them. He takes his regular dough, he takes the challah dough that you separated, and you don't have to be concerned. Why? Says the Gemara, we should be concerned that maybe he's going to touch the challah that you're giving back to him. Says the Gemara, no. Mainly, we tell the Amaretz to intimidate him, to scare him. We tell him, hey buddy, Chazi, look, in the Gataba, if you touch it and you make it tameh, Hadra Lativla, your dough is going to come back and be tevel. Now, he's not suspect to eat tevel, which has a chi of misa. But says the Gemara, why are you not concerned? Maybe he doesn't care. Says the Gemara, how could you say that? And here he's coming to the Talmid Chacham to fix it and to separate challah. You think it's not going to bother him? Of course it's going to bother him. Therefore you scare me, you tell him, hey, you touch it, it's null and void. And you're going to be eating tevel, so therefore that's why you're not concerned. Now, the next case was of Amamar. We said in the Brisa, by the case of the olives, said if you got it early enough before it was able to be susceptible to Tumah, we said you take the amount of it of Truma, and you put into the vessels of a Tamach Chacham. Now, Tracy says, why did we switch the case of the Reisha? Why by the dough did we put into this Kfisha Vanchusa, and here by the olive suddenly we're putting into the vessels of the Tamach Chacham himself? Is because, very simply, he says, this the way Tracy explains at least, not like Rashi. Rashi says something else, that they're worn out leather flasks. So he said they're pshutikli, there were these flat wooden vessels. You can't put olives on these flat wooden dough. You could put on a board, but for olives you can't. They're going to fall all over the place. So it's according to that, there's a technical reason. I'll put them, but you can't put it obviously in the Amorit's vessels because his vessel tummy. No problem. You put in the vessels of the Tamach Chacham. Later, when the ignorant person comes to take it, he takes both of them. We don't have to be concerned. So, well, why? But we have to be concerned that maybe he's going to touch the olives that are the truma olives in the kalim of the chaver. As the Gemara explains the question, and within the first case regarding chala islay kera. So there's a recognition because you put in vessels that are not usually where you put dough in. It's in this worn-out leather flask, or according to Taisus, this wooden board, whatever it is. But you're going to remember that he's intimidating. You say, "Oh, this is that one," because like I touched this, it's done, But hacha my hekeri islay. But here, what type of recognition is he going to have that he should remember? Why is this Tupperware any different than his Tupperware or whatever? Like, so the Gemara says no, because the kalim of the chaver that we're talking about is the monichle b'klei glolim, b'klei avanim, and b'klei adama. He puts it in earthenware, stone vessels, dungware, which are not makabel tumah. That even if he touches the kli, it's not going to become makabel tumah. And by the olives themselves, we're going to have a recognition because these vessels are not usually used. They don't usually use dungware. So that will remind him not to touch the olives that are inside. And regarding the Amoritz, the Rabbanan were not so stringent to treat him like a full-fledged zav, that it can be matama even by just moving it or carrying it. It's only for touching. And touching, we're not concerned that he's going to touch. And if he touches the vessel itself won't become tummy. And therefore, that's why we're not concerned by the case of the olives either. So the Gemara says, if that's the case, Ma'ir the Chaver, then why did you have to say that when you give it back to the olives of the Truma, that you put into the kalim of the Tamach Chacham, afil damaretz nami, even that of damaretz also just put it back in klei avanim, klei glam, which are not makabel tumah, the vessels, and it'll be an interesting vessel that he'll know not to touch. Says, you're right, this is what it's actually saying. You put into the vessels of the Amoritz, which are not makabel tumah, that even the Tamach Chacham uses because they are not makabel tumah. You're right, it doesn't have to be that the Tamach Chacham himself has to give out his Tupperware, has to give out his things that are not makabel tumah. Now, it said in the Mishnah that it's really parenthetical, just because we were talking about you cannot support a woman that violates the laws of Shemitah, so we said, but you could support the non-Jew who's doing work on Shemitah. So about Machzikin? Really, you could support them? But Va'amar Rav Dimi Bar Shishna Mishmei Derav, he says, you cannot hoe with a non-Jew in the Shemitah year, and neither could you double your greeting to the non-Jew, because this stage you're allowed to greet him and say shalom is only because of Dar Cheshalom. Because of Dar Cheshalom, one time is enough, not two times. But one thing is, you see, you cannot hoe with the non-Jew, so how can you say you could be machzik the yad of the akum, that you could support him? Says no, it means when we say you could be machzik him, it doesn't mean literally getting on your overalls and actually helping him. It means you're telling him, chazak. Kihod Rabbi Yehuda, like Rabbi Yehuda, Amalu Achzuku, he would tell those who were doing the work that he would pass by, he'd say Chazaka Baruch. He would say, keep good job, right? As Rav Sheshes, he would tell them Ashrasa, which is also a terminology of support. Like we say Yasha Kechacha, it's like a strengthening of your power. Ashavta, Chazaka Baruch. That's what he's saying. You could be Machzik Yidei Akum, that you could support them. Doesn't literally mean say doing the actual work. Now we did say you cannot double the greeting to the non-Jew. Now Rav Chizda Maktim v'Yavlu Shlomo Some say that that's reason why he didn't want to double it, because usually when you respond, you say you say it 2 times. If you're first, you say shalom. So he would get there first and say first shalom. Rav Kahana Amalei Shalom Alamar, he would say peace to the master, which, as Rashi explains, his intent was not to bless the non-Jew, rather his intent was for his master. So Shalom Alamar, peace to the master. Which master? The master is the Rabbeinu Shalom. Now, the Mishnah said B'Shalom B'Shleimah, that you could ask them, you could greet the non-Jew how he's doing. Says the Gemara, "V'as haste." If you could actually strengthen them with your words, with something that's forbidden for a Jew, for example, regarding working in the Shemitah year, to greet them during the year, do I need to tell me why wouldn't I be able to greet them if I could even support them in Issur that they're doing? So that says, he says, no, this is necessary to say, even if it's on their holiday, we're not concerned that they're going to go and give thanks to their deity because the Jew is greeting him. That's the chiddush. The time I learned the brayso. A person is not allowed to go into the house of idol worship, but on his holiday, he's going to pass under the decorated tree, and give him a greeting, because since he's making him so significant that he's coming to him and greeting him on his holiday, he's going to give thanks to his deity for this. But matzah b'shuk, if you find him in the street, you can give him a greeting, but b'safar rafa, what's called with light lips, with a heavy head, meaning, not with the ganze gusto. And that's because of Darchei Shalom. What? On Yidin. And that's the chiddush, you can use God's name. Here we're talking about for a guy that, actually interesting, Tosfos says, this the Rashi says, Shalom Lamar, was he meant Hashem and not the person. Tosfos says, bother, why isn't that Geinev Das Abriyat? Why is that Genevas Das? Even if a guy, you're not supposed to do Genevas Das. So why is that Genevas Das? So he says, yeah, right, Rashi didn't have to say that. It just means to say that that he just didn't double his greeting, and he only said it one time. That's the difficulty with Rashi. That's like Genevas Das. How can you tell someone something that he might think it's one thing, but it really means something else? Now the Gemara brings a story, but that's when you could greet them, is that chiddush that we're not concerned for that he's going to give thanks to his deity. The Gemara brings a story of Huna, Rav Chisda, Yosef. They were sitting. Chalva Azal Geniva. So Geniva, that was his name, was passing by. So one of these two Talmidei Chacham, either Rav Huna or Rav Chisda, said to the other one, let's get up in front of him. The Ba'ur, he's a Ben Torah. So you stand up, a Ben Torah passes by. Amalai said to him, should we get up in front of someone that's someone that causes fights? Because he was fighting on the Chacham, because he was bothering my Ukveh, who was the Abdezna, as the Gemara says in the first page, that was Zayin Al. So you think someone machlekes? You think we get up as such a person? No. So Adahachi Asa Iul Gabai. But in the meantime, they didn't stand up. And Gittin walks over. These type of people, they find you. So Amalai says to them, Shlama Aleichem Malki. Greeting unto you, and that's what we're bringing in over here, because we're talking about Shlama, where we're greeting upon you, kings. Shlama Aleichem Malki, greeting upon you, kings. Amalei, they said to him, where do you get this idea that the rabbis are called kings? Amalei says, in me the kings will king themselves, says the Torah. So you see that those who learn Torah are kings. They said to him, and where do you know that you double the greeting to a king? I mean, you're calling us kings and you're saying it 2 times. Where do you know when you're greeting a king you double the greeting? So Malui said to them, where do we know that you double the greeting when you're greeting a king? He says, the spirit clothed Amasai, the head of the Shalishim, etc., which the pasuk there continues, L'cha David, for you David, ve'imcha, and with you Ben Yishai, Shalom, Shalom, Lach. It says the word Shalom 2 times, so the main thing is in the Begomer, in the end. It says the word Shalom 2 times, therefore you know that when you're greeting a king, like by David, you greet 2 times. I believe they said to him, okay, let the master taste that, we're in the middle of having some herring or whatever, let the master taste something. Amalui said to them, Hocham Abridim Rav, and Abridim Rav said another teaching. It's forbidden for a person to taste anything until he gives food to his animal. Somebody says the pasuk in the bottom, and asati isa v'sat levamtecha. I will give the grass in your fields for your animals, and only then does it say in the pasuk, you're going to eat and you can be satisfied. So I have my behema after first feed my animal, and then I can join you and eat. Hadalach hanizakim shall return to you. The fifth parak in Masech is Gitin parak hanizakim, which, although the title was hanizakim regarding damages, which is really a baba kama mesechta, but Taisa said because it spoke about tikkun olam, and it was about remedy for the world, so therefore we mentioned here as a continuation of the previous parak, which spoke about tikkun olam. And now we continue Talmud Beis. We begin the sixth parak ha'omer, which takes us back finally to the halachas of shlichus. A shlich le'halacha is an agent appointed by the husband to deliver the get to his wife. The divorce is effective only when the shlich actually delivers the get to the wife. And then there's a shlich le'kabbalah, who's an agent appointed by the wife to accept the get from her husband. The divorce is effective as soon as the shlich receives the get because he's the wife's agent. And the wife, once it gets to her hand, she's divorced, so therefore it would be right away. So that's where our Mishnah begins, ha'omer. If someone says, his kabul gets elishti, it is also a little bit complex, this amit. Someone says, accept this get for my wife. So the husband is saying, he says the word hiskabel, receive this get from my wife. Or go and bring this, take this get to my wife. Allah is imratzef, the husband wants to be lavzer to back out. Yachzer, he could still back out. Why? Because a get is a liability, what's called a chayv. The halacha is, I said many times in Shas, and we had this in Daf Yomi, ein chavan adam elamedait. You cannot create a liability to a person unless with their consent. That to make them a shliach for their liability. So until the woman actually gets it, this shliach is not considered an extension of her. It's an extension of you, but she didn't get it yet, so it wasn't a get yet. So you can back out until it comes to the woman. That's regarding the husband. Now let's say ha'isha sh'amra, the woman who she says hiskabel li giti. She says, receive from me my get. Therefore, if the husband wants to back out, once he gave it to her shliach, lo yachzer, he's not allowed to back out, because since she made him a shliach, so shluchei shel adam is kamaisai, it's like it's her own hand, and she was divorced the moment that her shliach received it from her husband. Lefikar, therefore, since we said that the husband cannot back out, so there's no remedy for him to back out, only if, as follows. If the husband said to this guy that his wife had made a shlich lekabbalah, he tells him, and this is where it gets a little complex, no, I don't want you to receive it for her to be like her hand. No, I want you to go and take it and then give it to her. I want you to be my shliach of lahilacha, of to bring it to her. Oh, if that's what he stipulated, if he wants to back out as long as the get did not get to her, Yachzer, he could back out because she's only going to be divorced with the consent of the one who's divorcing her. And he's saying, no, I'm not making it again until it reaches her hand. So therefore then, she will not be divorced, and he could back out until she gets it. He says, also, if the woman says, Toli giti, take from me my get, which Rashi explains the terminology of Kabbalah, and if the husband wants to back out, he cannot back out again, because the moment the shliach gets it, she was already divorced, and he cannot back out anymore. Now, the Gemara is going on the case of Hoylech get zele ishti. The Mishnah said that if the husband says, here, take this get to my wife, that we said that he could back out. On that says the Gemara, Omalei Ravacha Bereda Ravashi says, time of the reason is, and this is where it is a pretty complex Gemara right now. The Gemara says, because delay shavisi ihi shlich lekabbalah. It sounds like that because she didn't make this guy a shlich lekabbalah, so that's why when he says Hoylech gets el ishti, he could still back out. Because if she would have made him into shlich lekabbalah, then when she says that his kabel, the husband would not be able to back out. Now the husband himself, he's not someone that can make a shlich lekabbalah, because like we said, it's a chayv for her. So therefore over here is where we're going to say that the husband could back out, because she didn't make him a shlich lekabbalah. But it sounds like her shavisi shlich lekabbalah. If let's say the wife had made this guy a shlich lekabbalah, and that the husband is saying to that guy, Hoylech gets el ishti, it sounds like Rotzalach, if he would want to back out, Lo Yachzer, he would not be able to back out because he didn't uproot her shlichus. That's what Rav Acha Brida of Avi was telling Rav Ashi. It's only because when he just said Hailach, but if the wife had said Iskabel and he says Hailach, so then he would not be able to back out. Ooh, but Shmamina, what we see from that is obviously Hailach is Kischi Dami. There's a machlekes in the first paragraph of Yudalam and Aleph. When you say Hailach, when you say here, take this, are you saying Bizaycha? Does the person have the ability to be Zaycha? Here it sounds like the Hailach is Kischi. Because if Hailach was Lav Kischi, means to say, no, I don't want you to merit for the person, I want you to bring it to them, then even if she's in consent, because she made a Mishlich L'Kabbalah, it wouldn't help, because I'm the guy, I'm the boy, I'm wearing the pants here. I said, Hailach. The Hailach is I want you to bring it to her, so I could still back out. It sounds like he cannot back out, because only he said Hailach, but if she would have said his Kabbalah and he said Hailach, then he would not be able to back out. Obviously, given Hailach is Kischi. And he is being Zaycha because she wants it. In other words, even if Hailach was Kischi, he can't do it if she doesn't want it because it's still a chay for her. But if she says Iskabel, she's in agreement, so it's not a chay. She wants it. So then he could be Zaycha. If you hold Hailach Rav Kischi, he cannot be Zaycha, bro.
She would be Zaycha even if he wouldn't say Hailach.
No, it's not true. No, if he says Hailach, the case is Hailach. What does Hailach mean?
The case is she sent to Shliach L'Kabbalah.
Right. But he said
the husband sent Hailach.
Right. What does
So
Hailach
we're
mean?
saying, so it works, and therefore we say Hailach.
How could it work? If Hailach is Lav Kischi, it can't work. Because
he's still a shliach of the Kabbalah.
Yeah, but I'm the guy in charge. I don't care what the woman says. I'm saying Hailach. I'm the final word. I'm the Megash. So I'm saying
You're in charge when it's your shliach. If it's not your shliach, you're not.
I'm saying, but even though she said his Kabbalah, I don't care. If Hailach is Lav Kischi, he cannot be Zaycha for her. So I should be able to back out.
But he's not Zaycha because of him. He's Zaycha because he's still a shliach of Kabbalah.
Yeah, but you can't. Why can't I back? I should be able to back out. Of course, because I'm in charge. I said I'm not doing it. I'm not giving a shliach l'Kabbalah. I'm in charge. I'm saying Hailach. Hailach is Lav Kazachi, which means I don't let you be Zaycha. You can't be Zaycha. So until she actually gets it, she's not divorced. But from the Mishnah, it sounds like that she would be divorced. Obviously, Hailach is Kazachi, dummy. If it's Lav Kazachi, could he back out?
No.
Why can't he back out?
Because it's shliach l'Kabbalah.
Who cares? We don't care about shliach l'Kabbalah.
Why don't we care about it?
Because I'm in charge.
That's why you're
She doesn't set the terms because I'm the Megash. It has to be with my das.
Yeah, but she said the shliach. It's her shliach.
The man could divorce Baal Karcha of the woman. She has no say in the matter.
So there's no shliach l'Kabbalah?
There is, if I'm okay with it. If I'm okay. I'm the husband. If I'm okay, I have no problem. You could, I'll give it to your
She's saying by
sister.
him saying Hailach, there's
Yes.
no shliach l'Kabbalah.
In a way, because I'm saying Lav, because if I hold Hailach Lav Kazachi, I'm telling you, no, you cannot receive it for her. You're taking it all the way till Wisconsin till you get to her.
So when he says Hailach, he's no longer shliach l'Kabbalah.
If you hold Lav Kazachi.
And since Lo Yachzev,
No, if you're Lav Kazachi, that's what the Gemara, there's a few steps. The Gemara is proving Hailach is Kazachi Dami. Because if it was Lav Kazachi Dami, then he should still be able to back out even if she said his Kabbalah Gitin. And she made him a Shlich L'Kabbalah. From the fact that we're inferring from the Mishnah that if she would have made him a Shlich L'Kabbalah, he would not be able to back out. Obviously, Hailach is Kazachi Dami, and he's being Zeicha for her. The Gemara said, Loi. On that, Rav Ashi responded to him, no, it's not true what you're saying. Loi U'Memcha, truthfully I'll tell you, Hailach is Lav Kazachi Dami. And even though she made him a Shlich L'Kabbalah, and he says, Hailach, he's uprooting her Shlichus L'Kabbalah, and he's making him a Shlich Leilach. So then the question is, and this is really where Rav Acha Breder Rav Avi was coming from, so why did the Mishnah say that she didn't make him a Shlich L'Kabbalah, as we're being medayik, that he's saying his Kabbalah, or he's saying Hailach, but she didn't, is really only for the case of his Kabbalah, not for the case of Hailach. Because Hailach, even if she made him his Kabbalah, yeah, wouldn't make a difference anyway, because Hailach is Lav Kazachi Dami. It's just because of his Kabbalah get le'ishti yitzchak. We need it for the first case. We wanted to tell you that even though she didn't make him a shliach, but if he makes him a his Kabbalah shliach, still it's going to work. Wait a second, why? What does that mean? I would have thought to say, a husband can't make a shliach l'Kabbalah. Shlich Kabbalah is only a woman's rights to make a shlich Kabbalah. He couldn't make shlich le'lacha. And he didn't tell him haylacha. He didn't say haylich. He said his kabel. So I would have thought to say, even if the get ends up coming to our hands, should not be a get because he never pointed him a shlich le'lacha. And he can't be shlich le'kabbalah. So maybe you shouldn't be working at all. That's what we're saying. No, when he told the shlich his kabel b'hoylech kama, what he meant to say was receive it and take it. Because a person knows he can't make a shlich le'kabbalah. Once we said his kabel, we also said hoylech, and what the Mishnah was saying was this: whether he said the terminology of kabbalah, whether he said the terminology of halacha, it's going to be a shlich le'halacha. But the truth is, even if she sent her shlich le'kabbalah, he would be able to back out by saying hoylech, because hoylech is lav kizachidam. So there's no riot that hoylech is kizachidam. But the Gemara asks Tanan. The Gemara asks from our Mishnah, how could you say this? The Mishnah continued right after this case we just said. From the first case, the Mishnah says the next words. Ha'isha sha'amra, the woman that says, Hiskabali giti, receive from me my get. If he wants to back out, can't back out. That's what the Mishnah said, because shlich l'kabbalah, right? Wants to shlich l'kabbalah again. It's like the woman got it. But says the Gemara, wait a second, my love, isn't it that this halacha be'isha sha'am is going on the first two cases that the Mishnah started with, of when he said his kabel or hoylech? Wait a second. So it sounds like loshna kabbalah. Doesn't make a difference if the husband said a loshna of kabbalah. Loshna halacha doesn't make a difference if he said a loshna of hoylech. But if she went and she originally made a shlich l'kabbalah, it sounds like the Mishnah is telling us he cannot back out. Ooh, obviously Haylech is Kizachadami. Because if Haylech is Lav Kizachadami, then when he says Haylech, what does it help that the woman had said his Kabbalah Giti and she made him Shlich L'Kabbalah, but you told me that Haylech is Lav Kizachadami. So that should uproot her ability to make a Kabbalah, and therefore Imrat Salachza, he should be able to back out. Why is he saying Lo Yavzeh? Says no. The case of Isha Sha'amra is going back only a Kabbalah. It's not going on the case of Haylech. It's when the husband said his kabel, and therefore he cannot back out because he's in agreement to that. So it's not a steer to Haylech, lav kazachadami. Mr. Zarki Tashma speaking right from the Sefer of our Mishnah. The Mishnah continued right after that. The Mishnah says, okay, lefika, therefore, amalei habal. The husband said to the shliach, no, I am in disagreement for you to receive it from. Rather, you could take it and bring it to him. So then the Mishnah said, okay, if he wants to back out, he could back out. Sounds like time of the only because he says, I'm not in agreement. But if he didn't say I'm not in agreement, and if he wants to back out, lo yavse, he wouldn't be able to back out. Obviously we infer from there. The hoylech is kazachidami. That he said, hoylech, because he said, yes, efshi and hoylech. What's up to efshi? It's like a double dilution. Just say hoylech. Hoylech itself is saying efshi because hoylech is lav kazachi. No. Must be, if you didn't say Yevshi, Melech is Kazachi, and it would be a Shlich L'Kabbalah. So the Gemara says, okay, good question. But Dilma, maybe this Sefer, don't say his words were Hoylech B'tein La, his words were Heilech. So if you litvak, it sounds the same anyway. The Heilech B'tein La. What is Heilech? Heilech meant that Heilecha, this is for you, meaning like she said. So therefore, as Taisa says, not really meaning magia. It just says that maybe that some had that girsa of halach. But if he doesn't say efshi, then for sure it would be shlich l'kabbalah, and it's not a raya because it's not hoylech. Hoylech would be lav kazachi. Halech is kazachi. So this is where you get complex halech. But the point is that would be kazachi, but not hoylech. Okay, so again, we didn't prove this discussion if hoylech is kazachi dami or not. But the Gemara continues now regarding this topic of who could be a shliach. Pshita, and we're talking about in our Mishnah shliach le'elacha, shliach le'kabbalah. So it says here when it's obvious that a male, have a shliach le'elacha, could be an agent for the husband to bring the get to the wife. Because since the halach of shlichus is included from the word b'shilcha, so obviously that a male could be included as a shliach le'elacha because shekin bal moilech get le'shtei. A man could bring a get to his own wife, which is on him to bring the get to his wife, so something that he himself is kosher for, his shliach should also be kosher for. At the same time, a isha, or a different woman, obviously have a shliach, she could be a shliach for her friend, the Kabbalah. to receive the get, because once we're including shlichus for Kabbalah from B'shilcha mi Beisai, which as the Gemara says this in Kedushin on Daf Mem Aleph, so we call it B'shilcha. So obviously another woman would be able to be shlich like Kabbalah too, because she can't isha, because a woman herself mekabelas gitin miyad baila. She could receive a get from her own husband. She could be a shliach for Kabbalah for another woman. However, as Rashi in the Divrei Masla has, ibchamai. What's halacha the other way around? And that is, ish li Kabbalah, could a man receive a get for a woman? And the ish li halacha, could a woman transport a get for the husband? What would the halacha be? As the question is, do we say that since he himself cannot receive a get, he's not a woman, so other males also cannot receive the get? And so regarding the halacha of a woman, would we say that since the woman herself cannot do halacha, so then her shliach, a woman cannot do halacha either? So says the Gemara Tashma, it's being arrived from our Mishnah. Mishnah said, we opened up this parak. If someone says, "Iskabel get zel ishti," receive this get from my wife, or "Helach get zel ishti," or take this get from my wife, we said, if he wants to back out, he can back out. And then we said, the woman that says, receive from me my get, if he wants to back out, he cannot back out anymore, because it's already, again, shlich l'Kabbalah. Once he gets it, it's like the wife got it. Fine. But says the Gemara, my love, isn't it talking about b'chad shliach? It's the same shliach, meaning whether the husband tells that shliach haylech, whether he says his kabul, it's going to be a shliach le'lacha. And if she tells him from beforehand his kabul, he's going to be a shliach le'kabbalah. But obviously you see that whoever it is that's kosher for the husband to be a shliach le'lacha is going to be kosher for the woman to be a shliach le'kabbalah. So V'shema Minas, obviously you can infer from that kosher le'kabbalah, kosher le'lacha, or actually some Girsayos have it the other way around. Really, it should really say the one who's kosher le'lacha is kosher le'kabbalah, because in the case of the husband, whoever is the shliach, the woman that is telling him, "I want you to receive it," is obviously going to be kosher. So the Gemara says, "Lo, it's not a raya, because b'shnei shluchim, it could be two different shluchim." The Mishnah could just be saying a husband that says to a man, whether it's kabul or haylech, is a terminology of halacha. The woman that says to our friend, "Is kabul," and gives it, and the husband gives it to him, that if he wants to back out, he cannot back out, but it's not going on the shliach of the reish. It's not a raya that whoever is the shliach for the man could be a shliach for the woman, could be talking about a different shliach. The Gemara says, okay, Tashma, it's being a different raya from our Mishnah. The Mishnah said, "Lefikach therefrom amalei haba."
How could it say it's two different shlichos?
Oh, two different cases. Ha'isha she'amar iskabel giti is going on a different guy, or whatever, different woman in that, for that matter. It's just not the same person. The Mishnah is assuming, at least in the Gemara is assuming in the question.
And then he told that person.
No. It's the guy says iskabeli gets a lishti or hoylech gets a lishti. That's case number one. End of case. And then ha'isha she'amar is going on a different case, a different person, a woman. A woman that says there's a period there. A woman says iskabeli giti he can't back out because her shliach, her friend Sally, already received the get from the husband. So it's not necessarily the same person. But then the Gemara says, wait, let's bring a different raya. Toshma, our Mishnah said like this. The Mishnah continues right after what we just said, the case of the woman that says, and he cannot back out. So the Mishnah said, okay, I'll tell you a way that the husband could avoid the problem of the woman's shlich l'kabbalah. The husband says to him, "No, I don't want you to receive. I know you're coming from my wife right now. She sent you to get it for her. She's too ashamed to get the get from me. You know what? I don't want you to be a shlich l'kabbalah for her. Rather, I want you to take it and bring it to her." The Mishnah said, okay, if he wants to back out, then he can back out because he's uprooting her shlich l'kabbalah. But says the Gemara, wait a second, it's one shliach. That guy that he's telling that she had said is kabul, he's saying, no, I don't want you to receive it. I want you to be haylech. Shemam, obviously you see from the Mishnah that kosh l'kabbalah, kosh l'halacha. Obviously whoever is har shlich l'kabbalah is able to be his shlich l'halacha. Because he's telling har shlich l'kabbalah, no, I want you to do halacha, not kabbalah. So pasha minah, so you could resolve, from the two questions we had asked, you could resolve at least one of the questions. Because you could say that the Mishnah is talking about a man, that the woman appointed him to be shlich l'kabbalah, the ish have a shlich l'kabbalah, and that would make sense. Because we find that he is fit l'kabbalah. Where do you find a man receiving a get? That must be only 2023. I'm saying, where do you find a man getting a get from another man? How could a man get divorced? No. Shekin ab mekabel get labita kitan. Because a father could receive a get from his minor daughter. The Torah is mazaka to him to receive her kedushin, as Gemara learns in Ksubas the Mavom Mabeis from Yatzachina and Kosef. and he could also receive her get because it says the Yatzav Haisla Ish, which the Gemara elsewhere in Kedusha and Ksubas Daf Mem Zayin compares Yitzia Lahavaya. So therefore, he is able to, just like marry her off, he's able to also get her divorced too. So we see a man is vowed to be a shliach for a divorce, for receiving the get from her husband. Wow, okay. So, but Isha Le'locha de Lachmai. But you still have the question, maybe a woman cannot be shliach Le'locha. Meaning you see this shliach Le'kabal that she sent, which could have been a man.
Could be a woman.
Yeah, but it's the same person. We don't know that for sure yet. In other words, we don't know a woman. It makes sense that maybe it was a man who also is a shliach le'alacha, because the husband's saying, no, I don't want to be shliach, but I want to be shliach le'alacha. It makes sense that you could resolve at least the case of a man, because that makes sense. A man could be a shliach le'kabbalah, because even though usually we said a svar, a man can't get himself, how could he be a shliach for that? So no, a man could actually receive a get, a father of a minor. But you still don't know, how could a woman ever give a get? A woman is not usually divorcing another woman. How could a woman ever give a get to be a shliach for giving a get? That you don't know. You don't.
Why can't you resolve from the same?
No, because not a raya. I'll take the minimum raya. The minimum raya is a savar. Makes sense. A man, because a man could be shliach le'kabbalah, because he could also receive a get.
And the Mishnah says that if he tells that shliach,
but we don't know who that shliach is. It might have been a man. If it's a man, that's all. I'm limiting it to that. That makes sense.
Well,
but a woman
works.
So why
exactly
keep
one
on bringing rayas from the Mishnah when you're going to refute it?
Okay, that's a lot.
No. What I'm trying to say is that the only way that you can prove your previous raya is by saying that a father can accept a get for his daughter, a minor daughter, because he have a pusik akashavai yitzia that he can, you know. If that's the only way you're going to be able to prove that the proof from the Mishnah is
but we proved one of the two. That's what I'm saying. We answered one of the two questions. We showed that a man can be a shliach l'kabbalah, even though we thought not, because he cannot receive a get himself.
But you don't need the Mishnah for that. Just say makashavai yitzia.
But maybe we wouldn't have said that svara on our own necessarily. It's once we have arrived in the Mishnah, we'll say, oh, it's one of these two cases, because just the fact that he could receive the daughter doesn't mean he could be a regular shliach l'kabbalah, because it's not a regular case. He's only by his minor daughter that he can receive. Who said that way? So that's the thing we're saying. Oh, we see one of them, but ish la'locha tibay lachmai. So Rav Mari says Toshma is being arrived from Mishnah of Chav Gimel and Beis. The Mishnah said, Af hanoshim she'ein nemonis le'mimeis bali, even the women that are not believed to say that her husband passed away, meaning as the Gemara tells us on Daf Chav Gimel and Beis, her mother-in-law, her sister-in-law, her co-wife, her brother-in-law's wife, and her stepdaughter, all those women hate her. So they're not believed to say her husband died because they want her to get messed up to marry someone else and then not be able to go back to her first husband. But even those, said the Mishnah of Gilon, they're believed to bring her get, and she's allowed to accept the get from them. Okay, but says the Gemara, that is lahevi as gita. They're shliach l'halacha. So you see clearly that a woman is also able to be a shliach l'halacha. Amar Rashi says, actually, from the Sefer over there, you could also infer this, because the Sefer says over there, Ha'isha atma b'yas gita. We said on that mission over there, the woman herself could bring her get, and we said, we explained already over there what the case is. Why is a woman herself? He says, I want you to be divorced only. But there, she has to say, which will kim the baylacha, we had explained over there in the second paragraph, from the fact that she has to say b'vanei nechtav, we had asked, wait a second, the moment she gets it, she's divorced. So we answered, no, the husband said, I want you to be shliach lacha up until you get over there. No, obviously we see that a woman herself, a woman can be a shliach lacha. Here, the woman herself is a shliach lacha for her own get.
She's not giving the get; she has to give it to Beis Din, and then Beis Din gives
right.
it to her.
But she's a shliach lacha.
But the shliach lacha that we're asking is to actually give the get to create the divorce. So here she's not doing
that. Does that mean the one who's doing it? Could you be a shliach lacha?
She's transferring.
She's saying a ma'aseh koif ba'alma, but if ma'aseh ba'alma, when you're saying b'fanei nechtav,
she's not the shliach to do the divorce. She's a shliach just to.
So what is a shliach lacha then?
I hear. What?
Can a lady go over to another lady and say, "Here's the divorce"?
Why? Because you have to be still. Even the first one has to be epis a shliach, right? You're saying that it's just a ma'aseh koif ba'alma.
I don't see
what he's trying to say regarding is that you have to actually activate something or not, whatever. Thank you, Tony, for hosting us.